I think for most gym owners, what they do over the next 3 months will probably determine their next 3 years of business, whether they exist, whether they're profitable or not.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. This is Eric LeClaire representing Push Press, and we are continuing our series with In the Trenches. And each week we get a chance to dive deeper into the looks of business operations or leadership styles or coach development. And this week, I've got a friend from a while ago that I had a chance to meet through a mentoring service. This is Nicole Race, and Nicole has been on my horizon. I've been keeping an eye on watching her rebrand, and she's been one of the most successful entrepreneurial gym owners that I've seen pull off a fantastic rebrand. And hopefully today we will be able to get into that. And that definitely takes organization, structure, focus, I'm sure finance, but at the same time, diligence and leadership. So I'm super impressed to have Nicole with us today. For those of you that may not know Nicole and her team over at Elevate St. Pete, Nicole, go ahead and share a little bit about yourself.
Wow, what an introduction, first of all. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And likewise with you, Eric, I followed you. You're an amazing business owner, a great leader to follow. You lead by example. So it looks like I have a lot to stand up to today. So yes, I own a gym in St. Petersburg, Florida. I've been a gym owner for actually almost 8 years now. So we started out as a CrossFit affiliate when we originally opened. And even before that, I actually acquired the gym from someone else, and it was sort of just like a general strength and conditioning gym, no real direction with it. My husband and I.
Then, right?
It was not a CrossFit affiliate originally, no.
Okay.
So we ended up taking over the gym. No direction, no structure. The business was completely upside down. And so at that time, which was in 2013, I believe, we felt that CrossFit kind of embodied everything as far as the group fitness, the camaraderie, the culture, strength as, kind of a foundational thing. And so we got our CrossFit affiliate, and we were affiliated for 4 years. And then after that, we dropped the affiliate, changed our name, and rebranded, and have been growing Elevate St. Pete as its own, brand and experience ever since.
Awesome. Was that challenging for you to make the decision to maneuver away from the brand of CrossFit? Did you have turmoil with that? Any frustrations with that? Or did you have an aha moment? You're like, okay, this is the line in the sand and we're going to go.
Well, it was kind of over time. So when we started with our CrossFit affiliate, I had been to other affiliates in the area before we chose to become a CrossFit affiliate. And funny thing is, I was never a member of a CrossFit gym before I opened my own affiliate. Yeah. So I had a strength conditioning background just through sports. I've always been very active. I've always just picked activities up. I've always been strong. I've always trained my friends, my teammates. I've always been captains of all the teams and sports I've been on. So just naturally to me, training them in fitness. I was a personal trainer. I ran boot camps and stuff before we had our gym and then the CrossFit affiliate. But I kind of looked around at the different experiences, and I saw kind of the different interpretations of what they felt CrossFit was, or how they should deliver the service or the experience. And we realized that we were kind of free to express CrossFit, based on our own values. So we decided to go with CrossFit. We got affiliated for, the first couple of years. All right, we are taking on the mission of showing everybody how safe and amazing and inclusive CrossFit can be and absolutely should be. And we fought that for a very long time. I was always the one doing the marketing, the sales. So I was always talking to, prospects, going out there, hosting events, collaborating with other businesses. And, that conversation of, oh my God, CrossFit's scary, it's a bad word, it's common, right? And that is generally the perception if you are not within the community. It's easy for us to forget how maybe scary CrossFit may look or appear to other people who are not, used to it.
Right.
Yeah. So I battled that for a while, and I'm sure, everyone can kind of relate to having those conversations of well, we're CrossFit, but I promise we're not going to kill you. And it's amazing,
first 30 days and you'll love it. You'll love it.
Yeah, right. And so, after a while, we found that the typical person coming in for a very classic CrossFit experience wasn't really attracted to how we express CrossFit. We were very much about just general wellness and health. We didn't program like muscle ups and handstand push-ups very often. We were just all about lifting and moving well and, building strength and wellness. And so for the average person coming in specifically looking for CrossFit, we found after a while that I was kind of sending them elsewhere. I'm a 20-something-year-old or, younger 30-year-old. I want to compete. I'm a competitive athlete. And I'm just
right.
like, well, you probably, you probably won't have the best experience here. Here are these other places that can better suit those needs.
Right. So you were kind of defining your audience. And part of that definition did not include the sport of fitness as the athlete, right?
Correct. Yes. We had a couple of people who competed here and there. Myself, I did it for a while just for fun, just because I've always been an athlete. I love a challenge. But we never had the goal of developing CrossFit athletes. We never had the competitive aspect, and that we were trying to, ascend people through the sport of CrossFit or anything like that. So that was never our thing. And whenever those people would come in, or even the people who didn't necessarily think about going to regionals or the games, they just wanted to be competitive within their own gym. We just really didn't have that culture. It just wasn't our thing. And so we found that after a while, is the name attracting our avatar? And when we have those conversations about CrossFit to our potential prospects, to people who would be a wonderful fit for our program, I was having to always get over that barrier of CrossFit. And over the years, I kind of found myself hiding the affiliate and describing my gym with every other word and adjective other than saying we were CrossFit, People would ask, are you CrossFit? I'm like, well, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
You're going to respond. How should I answer this?
Right. So after a while, we just knew within our heart that, leading forward with being a CrossFit affiliate, we weren't in alignment with it, right? And we felt like we wanted to continue to grow our brand, our interpretation of what, a well-balanced strength conditioning program was. And so we decided to drop the affiliate and rebrand. And
perfectly acceptable and the right move for folks that have grown in just a slightly different direction.
Yeah, and I love CrossFit. Like, I really do enjoy it. Myself being an athlete all of my life, I've been, pretty mobile and strong. For me to jump into CrossFit, I did very well. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of skill acquisition for me personally, which I was very, grateful to have when I started. But over time, I found like, man, this is a lot of skill acquisition for someone to really kind of get a lot out of a CrossFit program, when typically the person coming into our gym, sat for 9-10 hours out of the day, right? Has hip, back, ankle, shoulder problems, and so for us, we just found like we were changing and modifying so much that we felt like, well, we just want to kind of go a different direction and suit the needs of the majority of our clientele, not just the very few who are capable of doing the more advanced stuff. So yeah, for us, it just made sense. It was very well received with our gym and our community. I think because the programming didn't change drastically after we dropped the affiliate. At that point, we started phasing out Olympic weightlifting in the class setting anyways. We had a separate barbell club, so that kind of satisfied that need for those people. You didn't
service. You said, we recognize the value. We're still going to make it for however long, the barbell club maintained, and we're still going to deliver exercise and fitness and wellness, like all of it. Good.
Yeah, absolutely. So we decided, it was in the best interest of kind of the person looking for CrossFit and our brand going forward that we'd cut ties with the affiliate.
Yep.
And yeah, so that was, in 2017, November, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, we've been Elevate St. Pete ever since. And we very much love strength training. We love the barbell. We have basically two class styles that we run in parallel. So we have Sweat, which is without barbell, doesn't have any separate strength work. It's 45 minutes. It's very much about high intensity. And then we have lift, which is very much about building strength, building muscle mass, developing power, a lot of barbell work, very little conditioning. And then we have our barbell club. So we are a full-time USAW club. We have about 20 weightlifters on our team. Love it, super fun. So that is our sport at our gym. It's weightlifting and not CrossFit. So
I totally love it. We fell in love with the sport of weightlifting, very, very early on. I mean, this has been like maybe 2006, 2007 when I was introduced to Coach Bergner. And, he was very adamant that the barbell would return and people would embrace the snatch and the clean and jerk. But he was adamant. He said, but it should not dominate the general pop culture fitness. It needs to be treated as such. It is a sport in and of itself. And he told me in those early days, he says, sure, you might want to include some partial movements, maybe some hang power cleans or some hang power snatches, maybe for those people that can move well in your general fitness class. He says, but if you're going to have a team and if you're going to have a USOG program, you need the space and the energy and the coaching to dedicate to the sport. And he goes, and so I challenge you to be a weightlifting coach in addition to being a CrossFit coach and understand the nuances. And I fell in love with, the way he taught. That actually brings me to the kind of this next series of questions from a leadership standpoint. Were there coaches that you grew up under, or were there mentors that you grew up under that helped you become the coach and the owner that you are today? And did you pull from them any principles of leadership or any styles of leadership?
I would say in the strength and conditioning world, I'm a big Dan John fan. I actually love Mike Boyle too. So they're very old school, simple strength and conditioning. And so I kind of had that in the back of my mind. Like one of Mike Boyle's, one of his kind of quotes is like, as a strength and conditioning coach, at any time, if you're, the person that you look up to were to step into the room in front of your session, would you be proud of what your athletes and clients are doing? If not, you would change something about the programming or the coaching. So I always had that in the back of my mind. Like, let's say on a snatch day or something, like, fuck, if Mike Boyle were to walk in here right now, God damn it. Like, that is an ugly ass power snatch.
Unacceptable. I love it. I totally.
Yeah.
You moved through that process from athlete yourself, obviously focusing on your development, then caring about others. I mean, obviously, when we transition from being, focused on our own development to now focused on somebody else's development, you move through. It's funny, we have almost the exact same progressions, me and you, from outdoor fitness, personal training, outdoor boot camps, indoor strength and conditioning, splitting up the programming, making sure that there's adequate value on both sides, delivering that message in a concise manner. You're now also responsible for not only caring for the clients. How about your staff? How are you, or what's your role in developing your staff? What does that look like?
Yeah, so that was a really big kind of personal evolution that I have experienced and really focused on over the past 2 years. In the earlier stages of owning a business, as you may know, when you're starting out, you wear a lot of hats. You have a lot of responsibilities. You play many, many roles within your business. After a while, you quickly realize that you don't have time or the attention to spend on every single role in order for them to be done well and done well all the time, right? So I think the greatest value and asset that we have is a team, is human resources. And once I understood that and started investing into acquiring and developing team members, that's when my business grew. That's when my business became the most profitable. And that's when I really became like a very happy, proud business owner instead of just a gym owner.
I love that. It's amazing the amount of coaches that I meet. I mean, I'm very lucky to work with affiliate owners, micro gym owners, and I meet coaches and talk to them all the time. I see two camps. I see the coaches that are focused on the results of the client, and then I see the coaches that are focused on the development of their staff to then in turn focus on the results of the client. And so I love hearing that message that you had, that really shows that maturity in you developing into caring about the staff. Keep going. I want to hear about this.
Yeah, for us, I knew that I love coaching. I'm an educator. I love to see people win and succeed. So I had to, it was really hard, right, to shift your care and attention going from all of your clients to, oh my God, if I don't coach them, if I'm not there, talking to them about their macros and showing them how to squat for the first time, then it's not going to get done well. Or, kind of selfishly, you're like, well, I kind of want to have credit for all that stuff too, right? I want to be able to say I've coached everybody. But over time, again, you realize you can't coach everybody in your gym. You're limiting their experience by, your time and your ability to multiply yourself. So once my husband and I, which we own and operate the gym together, once we started to focus on that, we knew that it was our job to grow our team, right? And to grow leaders within our team. So not just to hire people to take on just roles and responsibilities that we didn't want to do or didn't have time to do, but to truly grow other leaders on our team who are an extension of us, who embrace, our values as a business, as a brand, and who our members have grown to love. They really truly look up to all of our coaches. They really respect what they have to say. They want to make their coaches proud. They're deeply connected to them. And that's very special to me because, I think some gym owners kind of operate from the scarcity mindset of, well, if I have a coach that develops a great following, then all of a sudden they're going to want to leave, and then they're going to take everybody with you. And that's just not a great way to lead your life, really. You can't operate from a scarcity mindset. If you are to create an amazing environment for that coach to thrive, develop a career, have a fulfilling lifestyle, then there's no reason why they'd want to leave, right? And of course, people will move on eventually. But I've never had that fear. I've never had the fear of like, oh my gosh, my coaches are so amazing, they're going to leave, right? And I'm 100% about personal accountability, right? So as the leader, as the owner, it's always your fault. You can't blame your members leaving on anybody else other than you. It was either your service, your communication or lack thereof, mismanaged expectations, whatever it is. You either hire the wrong person, you didn't train them correctly, you didn't continue to educate and give them feedback and hold them accountable, you mismanage expectations. Of course, go ahead.
That's a huge one, mismanage expectations. That's pretty, to that point, let me back up 2 seconds and ask you, when hiring or developing your staff, if you could think to maybe the top 3 qualities that you personally look for in new hires or maybe new interns. I don't know what you call your interns or your junior staff. Are there 3, or can you think of 3 attributes that you would see as valuable that you look for?
Yeah, and I'll say too, like I've made a lot of hiring mistakes. I have not always been the best boss, the best leader. It's a skill you have to fumble through and learn, but it's definitely worth learning. But as far as what I have found over the years, the key quality and characteristics of my greatest staff members are people who take ownership. So they're held accountable. They want to be held accountable. People who have a growth-oriented mindset. So they want to learn, they want to continue to grow, they want to become better, they want feedback. And then I would say just, being a professional, regardless of what the role or responsibility, they want to do things well, and they want to do a good job, and they have a lot of pride in what they do,
Right.
So whether they're bussing tables, whether, whatever it is, they want to do things well because it's the right thing to do, and it's part of their character.
Love it. I love it. That's going to be 3 huge takeaways for the audience here watching today, because I know the downturn in a lot of this, because we'll get here to the COVID situation in a second, and through this chaotic, stressful environment, a few gyms that we know personally have lost staff members, not just clients, but coaches have it, they've either been furloughed or they only had personal training businesses within a gym. And so the personal training clients walked away. So the coaches walked away. And, as soon as this thing ramps up, some gym owners are going to have to be resourcing, rehiring, redeveloping staff.
Right.
It's going to be a huge takeaway. So I'm thank you for conveying important kind of attributes for folks is I know plenty that are probably going to just be like snatching at the first ones they find to just go fill, coach that class, teach that client, like whatever. And that might be the wrong way to just fill the void.
Yeah. Again, I've hired the wrong people at times, or maybe they were the right person, but I didn't do a good job of developing them or training them properly. Maybe my leadership was poor or not as strong as it should have been, or maybe I hired a good person, but maybe I put them in the wrong role. And so there's always those possibilities. I will say though that just generally in the micro gym industry, it's really hard to provide a living for trainers, right? It's hard to have buy-in from a staff member if they're just coaching 3 classes a week, right? So you have to be able to provide a roadmap for your staff to give them some sort of, foundational pay with classes. And to me, that's kind of, in my opinion, that's almost like paid prospecting. Like your classes and group is just a small baseline for you to demonstrate your value, your authority, to build relationships, to then be able to do one-on-ones and semi-privates and specialty stuff to really dive in with people and solve their problems and provide that more, intimate experience. So my coaches do a lot of personal training. They do nutrition coaching, they do accountability. So coaching classes is just a very small baseline. Now, on the other hand, there are coaches that just want to do that, right? They just want to coach a couple classes. They're very part-time. They're a full-time, whatever here and there in their life, but they just love CrossFit, right? And so they want a small part of it, which is fine, but it's just hard to run a business, where you want team meetings from people, when you want to do, goal setting and quarterly reviews and stuff like that. If you don't have a bought-in staff, that's not completely in alignment with the business and the value and the vision. So it's tough, it's like, all right, it's a lot cheaper just to either like exchange coaching for membership or 1099 or whatever. But I think a lot of people have kind of experience this in a very scary way, like, oh shit, I didn't qualify for any type of government assistance or PPP because technically I don't really have employees.
Yep, exactly. Let's just dig in on that right away. I mean, this is unprecedented time, unprecedented occasions. You've got federal mandates coming down on how people are to deal with this. You have state government mandates, you've got county restrictions, you've got city restrictions, and then you've got you come all the way down to the gym owner, and then below the gym owner is staff and clients, and how is everyone feeling, right, whether open. I mean, as we've done these interviews now over the last 8 weeks, and so what we were talking about with folks 8 weeks ago is totally different than what we're talking about with folks today. Luckily for you, tomorrow there could be an opening. When this airs, we might be a week later. Right. So I can go, okay, well, you know what? We were excited for Friday, but it never happened, right? So obviously, you and your husband are in charge. Your roles and responsibilities are to communicate effectively and efficiently to your staff, and in turn have them keep the clientele engaged. Mm-hmm. At this point, I think everyone's been doing much of the same. Walk me through briefly what you've been doing to maintain that connection with the clients.
So we actually closed a week early before we were mandated and forced to close. We felt like we're seeing this trend happen across the United States and other areas, forced closure. We're like, okay, we know this is coming. We're going to get ahead of it. And, we already started to see some fear from people in our area. They weren't really sure what was going on. They weren't sure how serious it was. Attendance was starting to slow a little bit in class. So we wanted to get ahead of that and come out with more positive messaging, and we wanted to be in control of it. So we didn't want it to happen to us. We wanted to try to stay ahead of the situation. So we ended up closing a week early before we were forced to, and we made sure that our messaging never included the word closed or no longer open.
Smart.
We made sure that we really honed in on the fact that we were adapting and pivoting, and we were, doing our best to accommodate all of our members, right? And so for most of our members, they were already sent home from work. The kids were out of school. Their schedules were completely flipped upside down. We saw the writing on the wall. We saw it was happening. So within a 24-hour period, we flipped it. We're like, all right, Elevate, Stay Home, Stay Fit is in full effect. Everybody is going to hear from their personal accountability coach over the next 6 weeks. So we basically split up our entire roster. We switched everybody to virtual. Yeah, I mean, I guess we had probably about 40 clients per coach. So it was a lot for them to get used to. But they heard from them right away. We use Voxer as our daily communication. It's free, awesome. It's easy. So what we do for programming is we have a dumbbell track and we have a body weight track. And they're structured to where technically they could do both on the Zoom call. Me personally, I don't think there's a whole lot of value in Zoom. I feel like it's a really crappy delivery for fitness. I feel like the novelty probably wore off pretty quickly for some people, but we still have like quite a few who just love it just because anything to have a piece of the gym. Yeah, they're just dying at home.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, so we deliver by email every single day. They get either their dumbbell track or their body weight track. And their coaches are very aware of if they have any additional equipment at home, if they need any type of modification for injury, if they need to have, a little more advanced experience, So they're very aware of everybody who's on their roster. They're texting them the day of, or the day before, hey, tomorrow's workout, I want you to go for this, make this modification. We try to replicate that in-person experience as much as we possibly can. So we've had a lot of success with it.
Interesting you say that there's a daily communication.
Yeah.
I've not heard that from a lot of coaches. It's almost always a fire and forget message weekly, or even for some, less than that. It's like, hey, we're doing this thing, and then they leave it open-ended and hope the client, connects.
Oh.
Says you guys are actively reaching out daily. Connection. That's huge.
Yeah. I mean, the whole value in this whole thing is staying engaged and keeping them accountable to whatever is practical based on their current situation. So for some of our clients, to be honest, they're not working out every day. For some of our clients, our goal is just to keep them on a step goal, right? It's just to mentally keep them from going nuts, keeping their stress levels down, because even thinking about scheduling in a 45-minute workout when they have 3 kids at home, they're trying to homeschool and their spouse is at home. Like it's too stressful. So yeah, so we really took inventory of, okay, what does everybody need one-on-one right now? What's their lifestyle like? What are stress levels like? And we do wellness checks with all of our clients at the end of the week. How has your sleep been? How has your stress been? How's your water intake? Just like basic stuff that people forget when they're going through a really tough time. Yeah. Everybody deals with crisis in different ways. But yeah, we definitely have a lot of outbound touch points with our clients. Mondays for us. Go ahead.
I'd say that's a huge takeaway for folks watching this today, because there are coaches I think that are either the same thing we talked about before, operating from scarcity or fear-based. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to get that involved. You've got to get involved. Like, you've got to be outward bound all the time.
Yeah, you can get free workouts all over the internet and download meal plans. I don't want to say there's no value in that, but your value as their coach and as the program, yeah, you got to talk to these people. You got to support them in any way that they need right now. So we really focused on the adapting our services to your needs. And we really meant that. Like, sometimes it's not about working out. Sometimes we're just checking in with that person to make sure that they ate at least 3 times that day.
Yeah, agreed. I love it. I just absolutely love it. Hopefully, and fingers crossed, like I said, we'll air this a week or so as we stagger coaches, but fingers crossed that tomorrow you'll have something. Now, from a top-down role, mm-hmm. Has the state released any? You've got to abide by specific. If you're going to open, you're going to have these distancing requirements, these check-ins, attendance. Have they given you any insight yet onto how you can open?
No. So Governor DeSantis, I'm in Florida, placed gyms in phase 2. And according to, their task force report of what phase 2 will look like, and we just don't know when phase 2 is going to start. We've been in phase 1 for almost weeks now, so which is good. But phase 2 basically ramps up all restaurants to 75% capacity, states that gyms will be able to open at 75% capacity,
Okay.
social distancing in place, no mandates on required masks or anything like that. There's a lot of asterisks on there as far as like, and other guidelines. So we haven't received any type of official guidance.
Okay.
We run a very professional client experience anyways, where, anybody can tell you who's either a member of my gym or on my team, I am a clean and organizational freak. Like, I'm always cleaning. I love a clean and organized gym. My members love it. They really appreciate it. So we clean our bathrooms several times a day, every day. We clean our floors every day. We're constantly sanitizing. Everything's very organized. We've always, well, not always, but at least for 2 years now, we've required reservations for classes. We have class caps. So we really do control a lot of the client experience anyways. I know for some gyms, they don't require reservations. They don't necessarily track attendance, so this may be a huge shakeup, but I think will be a really good opportunity to kind of check the quality of the experience that they're providing. And this is also kind of a good opportunity to pull the trigger on some of those decisions that you were kind of nervous about making, just because change always rocks the boat for people. Like that class that's not attended well enough, or that staff member that just hasn't really been showing up lately. You can kind of use this opportunity to just part ways with those things, or make those changes, or rip the Band-Aid off. And I think most people will be understanding.
Point. If anyone's going to be going through major headache changes, whether it's operation, logistic, layout, even programming, now for folks the clients will be more understanding, or will be more capable of like getting on board with the change, even if it comes down to membership changes or price point changes, offerings, all of it. And you have all dug in and provided so much guidance and in professional insight. The last thing I'll ask is simply for those that are struggling, and we recognize that every state has a handful of micro gym owners, and all the way down to even beginner trainers that are struggling. The audience here today, they aren't just push press gyms. This actually goes on our YouTube channel, and so everyone's going to get a chance to watch this. If you were to use this as an opportunity to convey a silver lining or a message, what would you say to those that are either operating from a scarcity mindset, a fear-based, or high anxiety mindset? What are your thoughts? What would you say to them?
Well, I think that a lot of gym owners and business owners in general right now are feeling very out of control about their business, about the destiny of their business. And I think that this is a golden opportunity for you to maybe flip your business model, change your prices, restructure your staff, put some policies in place. And I think those that do the hard work, roll up their sleeves, and probably address the very unsexy stuff about their business, like learning about accounting, learning about money, learning about pricing, that will result in building a strong, profitable business. I think for most gym owners, what they do over the next 3 months will probably determine their next 3 years of business, whether they exist, whether they're profitable or not. So I think it's time to focus on the problems that existed before COVID, because they're probably amplified even more so right now, and they're turned into more of an emergency than they ever thought. Like, oh my God, I don't have, staff procedures in place. I don't have a communication cadence with my team. I haven't heard from my coaches in 3 weeks. So all those, non-sexy things that are really important to a business, I think that they have an opportunity to work on those right now and to face the deficits in their kind of role as a business owner. I don't think that becoming a better trainer is going to result in being a stronger business owner. I think gym owners often focus too much on the gym and the fitness part, and they're not making decisions as a great business owner. So I think that a lot of gym owners need to flip that mindset and think with, hey, I want to be a successful business owner. What types of hard conversations do I have to have? You know, what type of hard facts and data do I have to face right now? A lot of gym owners don't want to know their numbers. They don't know they don't want to look at them. And it's really hard to make intelligent, calculated decisions when you're just guessing, right? When you're just going off of feeling, right? There's a lot of emotions right now. So don't make decisions out of fear or your emotions. Like, look at the data, track your data, figure out what type of business do you want to have, reverse engineer, and then, you know, rip off those Band-Aids now. Make the decisions now. Put those policies in place, flip your business model, change your prices, remove those classes that are not profitable, remove the programs that cost you more than they make you, and set yourself up to be an awesome business 6 months from now, a year from now.
I love it. I totally love it. Hey, for those that want to reach out to you or have been inspired by what you've taught them today, how can they find you, or where can they find you?
They can find me on Facebook, just under my first and last name. So send me a message, send me a friend request, hit me up there. I also have a kind of a gym owners group. It's called the Micro Gym Collective.
Yep.
And we're just gathering as many gym owners in there as we can, trying to get them to switch the mindset of trainer and coach to becoming a profitable business owner. So addressing all those, you know, unsexy things of, you know, following a profit first accounting system, growing a team, you know, pricing things accordingly, and not just operating from the scarcity mindset of everybody else and what everybody else is doing.
Right.
And yeah, I'm really pulling away from everybody in the market and establishing their kind of unique brand.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I really hope that folks take that into consideration and at least hit you up. I know there's so many, you know, micro gym gurus out there.
Oh, I know.
You can tell, you know, spending 5 minutes with listening to you, that you're sincere, your heart is in the right place, and more importantly, your head is in the right place. And so folks, I'm sure, would benefit tremendously from hanging out. What is that group again? What was it called again? The Micro Gym Collective?
Yeah, Micro Gym Collective.
Okay, awesome. Fantastic. Well, Nicole, thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate your time. I know all business owners, gym owners, you know, coaches and trainers are all chomping at the bit to get back into business. So we will wrap this up. I sincerely, again, appreciate and tell your husband thank you, of course. I know you guys are probably like, tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see. No, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.